Your life is completely made up of sales situations and sales tactics. But most people don't like to admit that. And the biggest reason is, comment below if you agree with this, most people have a very negative association with the word sales. When I go into a corporate training, the first thing I ask the sales team is, what comes to mind when you think of the word sales? And even from a sales team, the words I get are super negative. So you get things like pushy, liars, overbearing, over persistent. Everything is totally negative. And this is coming from a sales team. So they are actually hyper aware of how negative sales is perceived to be, but they still want to do it because they know the value and the money that can be made in sales. But let's put that on the side for a second. For the everyday person, how is sales intertwined in your everyday life, and why should you even watch the rest of this video or any of my videos or anybody else's videos to learn more about sales skills and sales tactics? Because sales is intertwined in every part of your life, and I'm going to show you exactly how. Now, if you are in the traditional sense of sales, if you are a salesperson selling a product or service for your company or for somebody else's company, then stick around to the end, because I'm going to explain to you why sales as a profession right now is in such high demand with everything going on in the world. It is only going to get stronger and stronger. So stick around and I'll explain that. For a better idea of why people consider sales to be such a negative aspect, or why people are so negative about sales in general, you can check out this video right here. I'll link it in the description as well. Okay, so for your everyday person, if you are not in the sales business, if you do not sell something for yourself or for your company or for somebody else's company, how is sales actually a part of your life? What is one of the synonyms for sales? Persuasion. Now think about the last time you have tried to persuade or convince somebody to do anything. I'll give you a few examples. Have you tried to convince your wife, husband, or child to do something yesterday or the day before? It could be what you wanted to have for dinner. Maybe you had a disagreement on, your preferences, and you were persuading them to go with what you wanted to cook rather than what they wanted. Or were you trying to persuade your kids on doing a certain activity or not eating a certain type of food, but eating, the food that you wanted them to eat? Have you recently tried to persuade a group of people for an event or an online event? Or in your company, if you're an employee, any type of employee, and you work in a company, you could be a teacher, you could be an engineer, you can be a consultant, any type of employee, and you had to present your idea in a way that other people would be convinced about your idea. Have you ever done that before? Congratulations. You have attempted to sell something. Now that thing is not a product or service, but that thing is an idea, and you were selling it. Now let's look at some of the aspects that are taught under sales. Negotiation is one of the top aspects taught. Now think about some times in your life when you need to use negotiation tactics, or when you have before. So have you ever negotiated your salary? Have you negotiated with a family member to do something that you wanted to do versus what they wanted to do? Have you negotiated with let's say a contractor that was going to do some work on your house? They wanted to charge you a certain price, and you were negotiating on the price. Have you ever done any of these things before? Congratulations. You have engaged in some type of sales activity. Have you ever negotiated with a child to get them to do anything? If you have kids, by the way, you definitely want to check out this video. I'll link it in the description. It's all about how I was negotiating with my 3-year-old son and how difficult it can be, but it has some really good points in there. Another aspect that's taught under sales is body language. And body language is used in every part of life, every part of life. In fact, communication is 80% nonverbal. 80%. So if you've studied body language, just drop a comment below. And if you haven't, you definitely want to start studying it, because if only 20% of what people are saying to you is actually the words that are coming out of their mouth, and you have never studied body language, that means that you are missing 80% of that conversation. That's huge. That's almost the whole conversation. It's gone. NLP is also a very fascinating topic that's taught under the sales umbrella. And it's pretty advanced, but it will dramatically help you in situations where you're trying to convince somebody to do something, or somebody else is educated in the NLP aspects and they are using these advanced techniques to convince you to do things using embedded language, using mirror and matching techniques, using some basic and some advanced NLP techniques that really address the subconscious. So these are actually techniques that you wouldn't even pick up on unless you really studied it. And again, this would help in all aspects of your life, because this is something that you can use when you're negotiating. If you're an employee, you want to get a higher salary. I've actually had people talk to me about, they want to get a higher salary, and I've given them tips on what to say in that negotiation and what questions to ask, and when to give an attitude, when not to give an attitude, the psychological aspects of how you want to deal with a salary negotiation. And it works very, very rarely, only because if I'm teaching somebody these techniques and they have this negative frame of mind around what sales is, then they feel that they are taking advantage of a situation, or they feel that they're manipulating, when in actuality, what it really is understanding the psychology behind why people do what they do and what motivates somebody to do something faster than they normally would have. That's all it is. It's not anything that's pushy or sleazy or scummy. It is a deep understanding of human psychology and what motivates us, what makes us act versus, I can wait. This person they're not going anywhere. What makes somebody think that? These are all things that are taught under the sales umbrella. So if you get rid of that word sales, let's just get that away, then it becomes this psychological study of human behavior. And that's what it really, really is. Another very crucial aspect taught under the sales umbrella is communication. So if you are in marketing, PR, if you are a copywriter, you need to have very strong communication skills, and you need to have an understanding of the sales psychology so you can execute your work in a way where it achieves the desired results. The last aspect I'll touch on that's studied under sales is persistence. Persistence is a major aspect of sales, and a lot of people mistake persistence with being pushy. And the reason that it would be mistaken with being pushy is if you do it wrong. Now, if you do my training is designed to help people follow up in a way where you are very persistent, but you do it in a very interesting way where that person still wants to talk to you. They're excited to hear from you. They're looking forward to hearing from you because you're always interesting and unique. You're not like everybody else. But in terms of persistence, where do you use that? If you're not in sales, where does persistence come into play in your everyday life? If you need to do anything with your kids, how many times do you have to ask your kids to do something before they actually do it? Who has a pet? If you have a pet, dog specifically, drop a comment below. If you try to train your dog on certain things, sit, very basic, the sit command. How many times did you have to tell your dog sit before your dog actually understood what you were trying to say? Psychologically, it will take 30 times. I know, I've had a few dogs. 30 times, and that's before they even start to understand what it is that you want them to do. These are just a couple examples, but in everything that you do, you will have to be persistent. If somebody doesn't say yes the very first time you present an idea or you try to teach them something, you will have to be persistent. How many times have you done this in your life? Forget about kids and dogs in other aspects. Just think about how many times you've had to repeat something, maybe to a colleague at work, maybe to a friend, maybe to a family member. They just weren't accepting the idea or they didn't understand it until 10, 15, 20, the 20th time that you mentioned it to them. Persistence is crucial in life, and people that don't follow up and follow through, they don't get anywhere. Now, if you are in the sales profession and you sell a product, a service for yourself or for somebody else, but you are in sales and you have accepted the fact that sales is a very lucrative profession. Right now, sales is one of the top valued positions in the world, and it always will be. Why is that? First of all, good salespeople are very, very hard to find. I was watching Grant Cardone recently, and he actually published an article on LinkedIn, and it said, the lifeblood of every company is revenue, and revenue is generated by sales. Therefore, every organization's most necessary assets that alone can determine its success are the sales skills of its employees. And this is coming from Grant Cardone. Now, in the current situation that we have going on in the world, where companies are getting more and more lean in terms of who they hire, they just don't have the resources that maybe they had a few months ago, and they probably won't in the next few months or years even, because of what's happening in the world. Do you think that companies are just going to be hiring very loosely in terms of, all right, well, they're not the best salesperson, but let's give them a shot? Nope. There's no room for that anymore. Companies are going to be operating, and they already have started operating in such a lean fashion that they are looking for the best of the best. If I'm a business owner, why should I hire 5 mediocre salespeople when I can hire 1 or 2 top-notch salespeople and get the same amount of revenue? The second reason that sales is one of the most valued skills is because if you start your own company, that is typically the number one skill that business owners or entrepreneurs lack. But that will definitely kill your business, because if you are a business owner, you need to be able to sell or persuade people to sign contracts with you, partner with you, pay you, work for you. You need to sell the idea of your company. If you're looking for investors, you need to big time be able to communicate and sell your idea in a very succinct, well-packaged, refined way. And you can't do that if you don't have very, very well put together sales skills. The third reason that sales is such an excellent profession, especially now, is because in sales, you're earning commissions. You might be getting a salary, a small salary, depending. Primarily, it's a commission-based position. And if you want a raise and you're a salesperson, guess who's in control of that? Oh, you are. You want a raise? Go get it. Go sell more. sell faster, sell smarter, upsell, cross-sell. There's no imaginary ladder. There's no hierarchy. Oh, well, he started before me, so he's going to get a raise first, and then I might start making more. It doesn't work like that. If you're in sales, you just get smarter with your sales. You just work harder or smarter, however you want to do it, and make more money. It's very simple. If this was helpful to you, please drop a comment below. Let me know if you are in sales or if you realized, hopefully now, that sales is actually a part of your life, and maybe you'll start looking at sales videos or learning some sales skills more closely. And share this with somebody that doesn't think that sales is part of their life at all. Hit that like button if you realize that you persuade or have convinced anybody in your life to do anything. I'll see you in the next video.